CJIS stands for Criminal Justice Information System. And CJIS is mainly around your police and your corrections and your other areas, but where we're seeing a lot of this today is employment applications and background checks. How many of you ever filled out an employment application that says, have you ever been arrested? Have you ever committed a misdemeanor? Have you ever committed a felony? Have you, right down through the check, right? Well, there's a lot of companies that look and it says no, no, no all the way down. That doesn't mean that they don't go check. And a lot of them check, especially background companies with security around data centers today. I mean, most data centers, if you're not checking this, you know, you're setting yourself up for potential disaster if you get somebody within the realm of this, right, that has some of this background that shouldn't be in your facility. So it's there with the background check quite significantly. CJIS is obviously, because of the issues around CJIS, the data has to be handled very carefully. It has to be stored very carefully. CJIS has a criteria that if you're in the public sector area, so if you're in the federal government, state government, local government, some universities and educations, that only certified CJIS employees can touch that information. Meaning, if my Dell server goes down, a Dell tech can't even touch it if there's CJIS data on there, technically. They can't touch it. Okay? So it's not just being escorted to it, it's who can physically touch and repair equipment, who can physically have access in the data center to where that CJIS information is. And is it in a caged, separate, compartmentalized area within the data center even? Okay? And does that have multi-level authentication to access the data? A lot of the people in the law enforcement, in the private security area understand that, but now that it's starting to fall into HR and background checks and other areas, it may apply to your organization. Okay? It's something that you may want to find out. You may want to discuss. Okay? Where it is, facility secure. Again, you're going to see some of the same things. The biggest thing that I'm going to tell you through this is from our own experience. We are engaged right now at 3 state locations. And we're helping those state locations with their data centers around disaster recovery, around access, around perimeter access. And the reason that we're in the CJIS area with them is all 3 of them had their video monitoring and their ability to remote their prisons, to lock their prisons remotely with their monitoring tools. They had a failure on the network, or they had a failure of their monitoring systems, or they had a failure of another. And unfortunately, in all 3 cases, a prison guard lost their life. In all 3 of those. So those governors immediately said, we have to fix this and bring this in, right? So when you start to look at CJIS information, it goes beyond just where the information is, because it goes beyond who's running and operating in those facilities in some cases, okay? Now, I don't know if anybody here is in public sector, but yeah, it's more than just the background check. This can become a very, I guess the point I'm making is this is why this is a very critical type of compliance and why they are so hard on it, because they've actually, unfortunately, we've had instances of where people have lost their lives because it wasn't taken care of properly. About 70 requirements that we had with the client. You can see going through this whole type of thing. Again, a lot of it, information handling, training. I talked about training, who can have access to the actual servers and the storage and the data and who cannot. Media protection, physical protection, formal audits. There are, so I happen to be CJIS certified because of where we work. But every year I have to get recertified, and it's by state. So I'm certified in 7 different states right now, and they're very similar, but there's all different things. So CJIS isn't one of those that you do and you have for the rest of your life. They're very particular about you redoing it. I mean, I've been right near the end of where one of mine in one state was going to go out, and I wasn't able to travel there and take the testing, and I didn't have access until I got the testing complete. I could not access the data center at all from that scenario. So they're very critical about CJIS, and CJIS is one that if it applies to you, from doing any background checks, gathering any of that information, make sure you have it secure, because this is one that if someone comes to audit you, they don't back down on, just because of the potential severity of it.